way from Nigeria. Yes, everybody said, oh, how come you keep bringing people from Nigeria? Because they're super intelligent and they share fantastic informations with us. So we're going to be talking with none other than Engineer Agaba Ikwue. He is the president of entrepreneurs in Abuja. That's called the Entrepreneur Organization of Abuja. He is the president and also a super successful businessman. So guess what, guys? You're going to get tips on how an entrepreneur should be preparing post-COVID and even right now what you should be doing. So send in your questions. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Queen Amina. And if you ever go to Nigeria looking for a place to stay that feels like home, Eden 360. I'll be posting those information right at the end of the video, so don't go away. And also remember, from yesterday we had some giveaways that we couldn't give, so today we're going to be giving it away. So make sure you're glued to your screen, listening, taking notes, because I would be asking you some questions from what he will be saying, and the first person that answers wins what was supposed to be given away yesterday. So stay tuned while I bring him on. In 1 second, yay, hello. I can hear you. How are you doing?
Great, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. It looks so beautiful down there. We are stuck in the house, and so you guys are too, right?
Yeah, we're stuck in here. We're locked down. It's 24 hours, and we have just 2 days in a week, 4 hours each day to go out and restock our groceries.
Wow, so it's even restricted to time too.
Yes, just on Wednesdays and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Twice a week.
Yes.
This is the reality that is going on around the world, and a lot of people don't get it. Like, really, they don't get it. But before we get into that, please tell us a little bit more about yourself, because everybody is so excited. They want to. Hi, guys. Thank you guys for joining. Take a pen and paper. Make sure you're writing. So much giveaways today. Yes, take the floor, please.
Thank you, Queen Amina. Thanks for having me. And hello, everybody. I'm Agaba Ikwue. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm the group CEO of the Engr Group. We have, it's a core construction company and real estate, and we have interest in hospitality. Also the president of the Entrepreneurs Organization, Abuja, Nigeria. Entrepreneurs Organization is a global organization of entrepreneurs who are interested in learning. Actually, it's an organization of entrepreneurs who earn more than $1 million annually and who have a thirst for learning. It's a peer-to-peer global organization in over 60 countries of the world, including Canada, where you are,
Wow.
and with about 14,000 members across the globe.
That's huge. So you're going to give us a link on how people can connect with you later at the end of the show.
Yes, quick one. You can go to www.eonetwork.org. And there you can read anything about the organization. If you want to know about Entrepreneurs Organization Abuja, you can go to our Facebook page or Instagram page. Just go to EO Abuja.
Okay, so I will be posting that later so that people can get to see. Guys, I'm going to put his name up because yesterday a lot of people were asking about the guest. I forgot to do that. Apologize. All right, so his name is up there, and if you, like I said, have any question, make sure you're sending in the question on my WhatsApp page. Please do not send the questions on Facebook Live because it's very hard for me to keep up when the thing keep rolling, so I don't miss your questions. All right, guys. All right, so let's dive right in. What do you have for us today before we start asking you questions in regards to entrepreneurs? We have a lot of them online already. Thank you guys.
Um,
Please share. Please share as you're coming in. Share the video so all your friends can enjoy these important informations that will be shared. Thank you guys so much.
um, First of all, my heart goes to. It's a difficult time for the entire world at this moment,
Yes, absolutely.
and my heart and my family goes to those who have lost their lives. Over 150,000 people across the globe have lost their lives, and over close to 2.5 million people are infected. Um, this is a challenging moment for mankind.
Correct.
And straight to the topic for today, I know millions or billions of entrepreneurs across the globe are suffering. They're
Mhm,
bleeding at the moment.
mhm.
Businesses are going down by the day. A
Correct.
lot of businesses are going to go into extinction after this. And this is the time where the entrepreneurial spirit comes to play.
Mhm.
It's a new reality. Life is never going to go back to where it was before the COVID-19. So, this is the time for us to review and recreate ourselves as entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, what we do largely cross fertilizes with government policies. And this is the time that government needs to listen to entrepreneurs. It's extremely important. I will talk based on the environment where we operate, Nigeria. Uh, it's really unfortunate. Our economy is not so strong. Our governments are a bit handicapped now because
Okay, they're
this.
saying they're not here. Your volume is on low. Yeah, better.
Okay.
Give me thumbs up. Can you hear him better? Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So our economy is not so strong like the developed countries.
Mhm.
So our governments don't have the kind of money that those countries have to support entrepreneurs at this time. So the question is, what do we do? Are we going to sit back and watch our businesses go down? So I would like to share with us from the questions you ask, we can share insights into what we can do in collaboration with our governments to help entrepreneurs to
So,
survive this period and emerge stronger, possibly after the whole crisis.
so even from just what you're saying right now, can you just share with us briefly what do you think an entrepreneur right now, especially the small business owners in a country where there's so much corruption, nobody's listening. What is your advice for them before this is coming from me personally, before we get into the audience questions?
Okay, first and foremost, you see, at times like this, there's little or nothing much an entrepreneur can do because society is being governed by laws. Take, for example, Nigeria, Abuja, Lagos, Ogun State, and most of the states right now have executive orders that require people to stay at home. Secondly, that require certain businesses to completely shut down, especially businesses that require people to gather more than 20. So, how there's really nothing such businesses can do but wait until those orders are relaxed. So, the best you can do now is to hope that the situation improves. But government itself can do a lot. Like for Nigeria, it pains me that government focuses on the poorest of the poor, and we tag them as the most vulnerable in the society. That is quite true. They are vulnerable, but as regards the COVID-19, those are not the most vulnerable. Take, for example, the beggar on the street, the homeless in the IDP camps. These are vulnerable people in the society. But they have always been like that even before the COVID-19. So COVID-19 did not necessarily make them worse. But I'll use myself as an example. I provide employment for about 150 people directly, and 150 people have not been working for 1 month. The tendency is that if this thing lasts for another month, I may not be able to retain all of them in their working place. So that thing that affects me directly
affects them too.
Directly affects 150 people. And I'm sure there are millions of Nigerians like me that are directly affected by this, including even the richest man in Africa, Dangote.
That's correct.
I'm sure Dangote has not been selling cement. So government, it is important. Let me use arbitrary figures. Assuming we have 10 million entrepreneurs like me in Nigeria, employing between, let's say,
50 to 100.
50 to 100 people. Let's use a round figure, 100 people. That is 100 million Nigerians directly depending on those 10 million people.
It's a big mess.
So, if you don't think of how to help these people to survive, you are going to throw millions of Nigerians into poverty in the next few weeks.
If you don't elaborate on these figures, it sounds like, oh, it's going to be okay and it's a joke.
Okay.
It's scary.
Let's take the small businesses that cannot open. The club owners, the hotel owners, the restaurant owners who probably employ between 10 to 20 people. And let's take an average of, say you have 1 million of those people, of those kind of entrepreneurs, employing 20 people. You're talking 20 million Nigerians. If those people lay off their staff because they are not doing business, you are throwing 20 million Nigerians directly into poverty. Directly, because these are people who earn monthly salaries, possibly between 40, 50, 60,000 naira, and they feed their families and extended families. So they will not even be able to feed themselves and then their families. So directly, 20 million people are going into poverty. Indirectly, we probably have another 20 or 30 million people going into poverty. So I think the most vulnerable with respect to the COVID-19 are the SMEs who right now are not making money, they can't do business, and they cannot pay their workers. And I think government should focus on them. Government should come up with innovative policies that can make those entrepreneurs keep their employees.
This is huge because over here, the small businesses are being helped. When I say over here, I mean Canada. The small businesses are more helped even than the less privileged people, because the point you are making is a very valid point, saying that if these businesses die, then many lives dies with them that are dependent on them. I hope you guys are listening. Mostly we have some government officials that joined us, and I've not checked. I hope you're listening. This is super important because you're not just killing the individual businesses, you're killing so many lives and throwing them into unbelievable poverty that will affect directly the economy of Nigeria in the next few weeks if something didn't change. You guys got to change something. Anyways, talk of giving. Thank you guys for joining. Lillian, I can see you. Aja, God bless you guys. Please share the video and send your questions to the WhatsApp number rolling on the screen. We're talking live with Engineer Agaba Ikwue, president of Entrepreneurs Organization of Abuja. He told us earlier what the organization is about. He's a successful businessman. I personally stay in his hotel, one of his hotels that in Nigeria every time I go. So he has chains of these hotels employing over 150 people. And if business doesn't come back, he is going to have to let these people go, and they're going to go into absolute poverty. So Nigeria government, you are hearing from one of yours, so you better do something about it. Agaba, I know from people talking to me privately. You didn't tell me this, but I know that single-handedly you load your car up and go on the street, not people that you know, on the street, giving them food, from police officers to private individuals, and you just give them boxes of food and bags of food. Do you think that if other Nigerians who step out, by the way, kudos to you, because that is from a genuine heart of love. Nobody sent you, nobody is giving you money to do that. But do you think that there are other Nigerians that could step out of their high horses and join you on the street? Do you think that that would change something temporarily, at least to show the spirit of love?
Thank you for the compliments. Yes, I do a lot of philanthropy, but personally, I live a very private life, and my philanthropy is for my personal fulfillment. Yes, since the lockdown slightly over 2 weeks ago, my family and I have shared out about a little over 500 food packages, raw food.
Wow.
What we do is we buy different foods and then we wrap them in small bags that can last a family of say 2 3 people for a week. And we drive around town and identify really vulnerable people. And the interesting part of it was I was talking with a senior police officer, and he encouraged me that a lot of the policemen we find on the streets enforcing the laws really are as vulnerable as those people we call vulnerable streets. And they
Wow.
need our support, they need our encouragement. So I said, "Oh, this is fantastic." And I came out on one of the days with my son, my 11-year-old son, and the policemen around where I live, the checkpoints there. And we went around and gave each and every one of them those food packages, and they were really appreciative. I just couldn't believe it. I made personal contact with over 50 policemen, and you won't believe each and every one of them practically was praying, praying for me. They are so grateful. And so I want to use this opportunity to ask each and every one Nigerian, it doesn't matter, even if it's person, one person you
Wow.
can help at this time. it goes a long way. If 1,000 people help 1,000 people, is 1,000 extra person that you have given food. So imagine if 1 million people give out two food packages. A lot of us have excess in our houses.
Yes, yes,
We eat, we don't finish those meals and we throw them at our dogs, even though our dogs have enough. So why don't we take part of it and say, okay, let me feed one extra guy, maybe the next guy, the next security man on my street, the
hmm,
security guys guarding our estates.
hmm.
Those guys who we never thought meant anything to us. Today, they are our heroes. The
Ah,
delivery men, who without them, we won't get those delivery in our houses.
that's right.
Just like the security men. I could imagine if those policemen are not on the streets now, that everybody is locked up in his houses and you have cash just to give your family food. The criminals will descend on all of us.
That's right. That's right.
And that brings us to the security aspect of the situation we are right now. I'll come to that as the discussions
Okay.
progresses. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. So, guys, really, you know how I come online with full energy. Today, I'm broken. Like, it breaks my heart that people would go without food. Just the bare necessity of life, food and light, electricity and light. A friend of mine, Adame, an actress, had to cry out, literally cried out on social media, and the video went viral before her neighborhood started having electricity. You know, why can't Nigeria give electricity? Anyways, those are important things that we would bring speakers on to talk next time. But again, today we want to help the entrepreneurs with valuable information on how to stay alive during this lockdown and after the lockdown, what to do. So, Mr. Agaba, if you don't mind me, I would go to the first question. I'm sure everybody
Okay.
is super excited to hear about the first question. So, the first question that came in, or that I would like to ask you, is what exactly interested you or attracted you to becoming an entrepreneur?
Thank you for this question. When I left the university in 1997, my father was a civil servant. He retired as a director in the Ministry of Education, and he wanted me to be a civil servant. He he wanted me to join Ministry of Works. I read civil engineering, and I told him, Daddy, I'm not cut out for civil service. I'm a very very ambitious person. Whatever I choose to do, I like to do it very very well. So I told him, no, Daddy, I can't join the civil service. And I want to work in the private sector. So I joined the private sector. I worked for just 3 years after graduation. And then I formed my own company. Yeah, at the initial stage, it was really difficult. But eventually, it was worth the while. And today, I'm happy to say that I am CEO to a group of companies that employs over 150 Nigerians and doing business that does an impressive turnover, annual turnover.
Thank you.
So, and entrepreneurship, I have a passion for giving, philanthropy. I run an education charity because I believe that the only way that you can eradicate poverty in Africa is to educate the African child. If you teach them how to fish, they will feed themselves forever. So, um, my entrepreneurial life had have afforded me that opportunity to give back to that society where I have benefited from by sponsoring children to school and donating books to a lot of schools and learning materials.
So,
Which I think I wouldn't have been able to do if I were a civil servant.
absolutely. If I hear you correctly, what attracted you is not something physically, it's something within you that you knew who you were and where your strengths were right from the
Yes,
beginning. Okay.
it's the
So
passion.
that's a fantastic advice. I hope you guys got that. So before you become anything, first you need to reach within yourself to find out exactly who you are and what you have passion for. So that way you'll be happy doing it and it will not feel like a job. That's what I heard from everything he said. Thank you so much for that answer. I hope that answers the person that sent the question's name. His name is John. Sorry, I didn't call your name from the beginning. So, John, I hope that answers your question. Thank you for sending in your question. The number 2 question that I'm going to pick up is, I am an entrepreneur, and that's coming from Magaji. Magaji. I am an entrepreneur, and I live in Nigeria. But my question to you is, how do you keep your integrity in a corrupt country like where we live? That's a big one.
Thank you for your question. You see, I like to talk a bit about corruption. I think the corruption thing in Nigeria, I think, is just an over-celebrated word. And I think it's important as a people, as Nigerians, to define what corruption is in the context of the African culture. You see, I'd like to ask us this question. Ask yourself, what is the word for corruption in your language?
Mm-hmm.
And you discover that,
that's a good one.
yes.
What is all this? Okay, so guys, send in the word corruption in your language, and the first 3 people will win what was supposed to be given away yesterday. And it
Good,
has
but I can assure you that most African languages that have a phrase or a word for corruption is actually just coined, is an expression
okay.
of corruption. It's not a word for
I
corruption.
never thought about that.
Just like if you say, what is come in African language? In my language is wa, in Yoruba is wa, in Hausa is zo, in Igbo is bia. Okay? But corruption in most African languages don't exist. That means that corruption is alien to African culture.
Wow. Wow.
So we need to be careful when the Western world comes to impose a definition of corruption to us.
Wow.
But secondly, wherever you function, it is important that for you to excel in whatever you're doing, you must understand the dynamics of doing business in your environment. You don't necessarily have to be corrupt to become successful as an entrepreneur. And trash that ideology that is trending now, that successful people in Nigeria are thieves. That is not true. That is not true. I can tell you
That would be
today
hard
that
to prove to people, though. It will be very hard because of what is already is in them. I personally know you and few other people that works really hard. I remember when I come to your hotel, I'll be telling Agaba, you got to go to sleep. You got to go to sleep because of the many hours you work. And there are many people, but what you just said will be quite difficult to prove to the world.
okay, well, this interview is not for me to talk about myself. It's not for me to project myself. But I will tell you, the hotel is what people know. But my hotel business is less than 10% of my actual business. My actual business is construction and real estate.
Okay.
And until probably some 5, 6 years ago, I've never done any government contract. But you know, the mentality that is trending in our society today is that most rich people stole Nigeria's money. You get, it doesn't follow that way. There are 1,001 very successful Nigerians that are hardworking people. They have worked hard all their lives. I don't want to call names, but what I wanted to say is if a dog bites a man today, it's not news,
That's correct.
right? It's not news. But if a man bites a dog, I'm sure it will make headline news.
CNN, possibly.
Good. So every day you hear that 10 Nigerians were condemned to death in Malaysia for pushing drugs. One Nigerian is put to jail for 419, Yahoo Boys, and this and that. But that is just 10 Nigerians out of 200 million Nigerians. There are, in that same Malaysia, there are hundreds of Nigerians doing legitimate businesses and are very successful.
That's correct.
But you don't hear those news. And that brings us to our African media. It's a challenge to our media. We need to tell our story the African way. We need to encourage media, journalism in Africa to tell the African story the African way. If we continue to leave it to the West to tell our story for us, it's naturally going to be a distorted story. So let's leave corruption. Nigeria is not as corrupt as it is. Its corruption is celebrated in Nigeria. And we can turn corruption around
By
to the
telling,
benefit of our people.
by showing the good side. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for that. When I would just connect this to not the next question online, but it just ties to what you're talking about just now, what you just spoke about, which is media. So somebody asked, the question is taking into consideration, that question is from Peter. I keep the last names just for privacy reasons. So Peter, if you're online, this is your question, okay? You get your answer. And Peter said, taking into consideration the, can't read what he said, taking into consideration the fact that media, I think what he's trying to say is taking into consideration the fact that everything is at your fingertip today in terms of technology. How can an entrepreneur use the power of media effectively to their own benefit?
You see, the media gives you mileage. If you're doing a business that requires mileage. But the fundamentals of business success, entrepreneurial success, is not just mileage, is innovation. You have to be innovative, and you have to, as an entrepreneur, identify opportunities, identify problems, and provide solutions. I'll give you an example. How many of us have seen the advert of antibiotics before?
I don't think so. Those are some deep things you're pulling up. I've never even thought about it.
Good. But you see, the manufacturers of antibiotics are selling antibiotics in billions of dollars world over.
Wow.
How come it's not been advertised?
Wow. Okay.
So you see, that's innovation. Because they don't need to advertise it to you. They know that when you're sick, you need antibiotics. Bacteria are all over the world every day in our daily lives and infecting us. So we need antibacterials. Okay? So we need antibiotics. And who are the guys who will recommend antibiotics to us? So the manufacturers of antibiotics talk to the doctors. They don't talk to you.
Wow. And then the doctor sells them out to you.
So instead of wasting hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising on CNN that my antibiotic product is this, is that, is that, I'd rather spend some small stipend and get audience with a known doctor in my town and talk to him, and I give him some incentive and he recommends my product to all his patients. So that's identifying problem, providing a solution, and being innovative with that solution.
Okay,
So
so
yes, the media, the social media gives you mileage, but first of all, if you don't come up with an innovative product, you will only get mileage with an uninnovative product and you just give yourself negative publicity.
so there's a comment to follow up what you're saying from Barbara. She said,
Okay.
often the media thrives on negativity. This is why we have to establish a global African media for us as Africans to tell our story and not the Western world telling our story for us. Thank you, my big brother, for that point. Thank you so much, Barbara, for that comment. You're very, very correct. Like, I am in the movie industry, and one of the talks that we are embarking on right now, some of the ladies that we're talking with, they're all online, is to begin to tell the real African stories, not even in mimicking the Western world, like the raw, epic African stories, stories of great people that have done great things. We have ancestors and even today heroes that have done great things, just as simple as going on the street and just loading up your car and giving food to vulnerable people. That is a story that we could tell, because over here, everybody believes it's just the government that is helping people. No, we individuals are helping people too, and mostly immigrants. Somebody posted that on my page today, that right now the immigrants are the people helping and building this Western world, and then they'll turn around and, you know, send them home. So we have to tell our stories by ourselves. I agree with that. And hopefully our entrepreneur guy, Agaba Ikwue, is listening to that. Maybe he will come up with something in the media. You never know. So follow him on Instagram. I'm pretty sure you are giving something out. So 3 points that I wrote down from what he was saying. For those of you that have just been joining us, you're joining us on Chat Life with Queen Amina. And our special guest today is Engineer Agaba Ikwue, the president of Entrepreneur Organization in Abuja from Nigeria. And he is telling us what to do as an entrepreneur and how to keep alive post-COVID. So from the last question, the 3 points that I wrote down is, as an entrepreneur, you need to find your passion before you become anything, not just an entrepreneur. You need to find your passion. Are you passionate about entrepreneurship? Is it something that you think you can thrive in before you make that decision? Then the other thing he said, for you to grow your business through media, it's not necessarily media, if I hear him correctly. He's saying you should identify opportunities all the time, be innovative all the time, and find a problem, become the solution, and you will thrive. So you don't have to spend thousands of money doing media publicity and all of that. One thing I always tell myself, and when people criticize things that I do, I laugh at it and I said, you know what? If you're good, you're good. Your good will advertise you. So that's just my little addition there. If you're good, you're good. All right. So let's go to the next question. That question is, as a successful entrepreneur, what kind of PR system did you use? Word of mouth or groups of businesses connecting with you?
Thank you. You see, the journey of entrepreneurship is in stages. And let me use, there are three stages in the life of every entrepreneur. One is the startup, and the next is scaling up, and then staying up.
3S.
Yes. The startup is usually difficult because most young people don't have that tenacity to go through the challenges of startup, especially for societies like Nigeria, where finances is a big problem. Then scaling up comes with what I was talking about: opportunity, identifying problems and providing solutions, and being innovative, especially in this era of what we call disruption. Let me give you an example of disruption, like Uber. Uber was a disruptive innovation.
I agree.
I mean, Uber owns the largest fleet of taxi business in the world without owning one vehicle. That
Mm-hmm.
was innovative. That
Totally.
was innovative. The world need to move around from point A to point B. People need jobs. They have vehicles that are redundant. What do I do? How do I provide this solution to this problem without putting my money in buying vehicles?
Hmm. That was smart.
So this is a disruptive innovation. But then start up, scaling up, and then staying up there. The big business guys, I'm not so big, so I can't talk about staying up there, but a Dangote can talk about staying up there. Bill Gates can talk about staying up there because they have gone through all the phases of startup, scaling up, and staying up. So,
Okay. I hope that answers your question. Guys, please share the video. We have another 20 minutes to go. And I'm going to quickly take 2 or 3 more questions, and then we're going to talk about, I need to wear my glasses. I keep forgetting. Getting old, guys. Okay, so which question do we take? All right, so this one is a good one. I'm sure everybody would like to hear it. So, what is the future of entrepreneurship today from what is happening? Do you think business will remain the same? If not, what are we to expect?
certainly, if anybody thinks that not just business, life, if anybody thinks that life is going to remain the same post COVID-19, that person is a dreamer. We all pray to survive it. May the soul of the departed rest in peace. But as entrepreneurs at this time, this is the time for you to begin to rethink, reinvent yourself, reinvent your business, and prepare for the post COVID-19 era. And I'll tell you why. For example, our children are all home now. My little daughter just resumed school today officially, and she's receiving teaching uh, via Zoom, virtual means. So, for example, for the entrepreneur in the education industry, that is already a revolution. So, education is now going to shift from physical large buildings to the virtual space. The disruptive guys now are going to come up with virtual schools. So if my daughter can can attend classes through Zoom, interact with her teacher through Zoom from a Canadian school, write her exams online like we all do. I did my master's online. So why should I go pay millions of naira to one physical school in Abuja when my daughter can stay at home with me, attend classes in a school in Canada, write exams, pass the exams, and get her certificate?
So are you
So
saying? Are you?
that applies to so many industries. Like now we are all locked down in our houses. A lot of food companies are doing home deliveries now that never had time for it. My hotel now, my kitchen is delivering food to people's houses because we're shut down. We never, we were not doing this. But now we've scaled up. We are even developing an app where you can stay in the comfort of your house, your office, and download our app, stay on the app, go through our menu, choose your food there, make up your lunch or your breakfast or your dinner, choose the time you want it, and it is delivered to your doorstep.
Wow.
So these are some of the positive outcomes of the COVID-19. And a lot of businesses are going to evolve that way. So if you sit back and wait for COVID-19 to come and pass and think business is going to go back to status quo, you're just going to be pushed out and
Wow.
go into extinction.
So your advice is be innovative and prepare for virtue businesses.
That's all. That's all. It's obvious. It's obvious the world is going to go into recession. So cash is going to be king. Liquidity will be king after the COVID-19. So I'll advise entrepreneurs at this time to be prudent. Don't waste money. Try to keep cash, build your cash so you can take advantage of the opportunities that are going to come post COVID-19 when the economies begin to reopen again.
Okay, so I won't ask the next question because you just sort of touched about it. The question though says, what do you foresee in the global economy? Is it going to be better or worse? And how should entrepreneurs prepare for what is coming? So you basically answered that. Keep your cash, watch out for the market because definitely it's going to crash. The business world is never going to remain the same. And what else did you say? You said it's going to move to maybe more of a virtual business way of dealing with businesses. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Please, if you're just joining us, I see Chocolate, welcome. Eukarya, welcome. Oh, whoa, you guys, man, that's good. Agaba, we will have people from London, from Australia, from United States, of course, Canada, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana. Thank you guys all. I can't go through everything. Thank you. I hope you guys are gaining something. This is completely valuable information for not just entrepreneur, because even me as just a person, I just learned that I need to become innovative in anything that I do. I need to stay current. He shared a very good 3S pointer for us. And for you to remember, just say the 3S in entrepreneurship, which is startup, scaling up, and staying up. And he did explain how to do some of those things personally with how he is doing his own thing. Thank you so much for your time, Engineer Agaba. So the next question is, okay, so that question still tied to what you said. What is the future of entrepreneurship in regards to how businesses will be run? So again, virtual, it's going virtual. Look out for that. Develop apps, learn media. I am learning social media with a very, very dear friend, Lillian Emefele. If you ever want to train on how to use social media, I would put her handle up, call her. She's super smart on it. She would train you for a very, very little fee. Actually, we're going to do a conference on social media soon. I'll talk to her about that. So keep following us on our page and you'll see the upcoming events. All right. So next question. How do you market your product? We did answer that. Stop sending that in. I love you too. So go back and watch the video again. We answered that question already. What was the first endeavor you did as an entrepreneur? So somebody wants to learn from pick your brain on that one.
Well, as a young civil engineering graduate, my first endeavor was, of course, construction. But I'll share this story very quickly. when I got out of school, for those of you who know me, I'm from the Ikwue family. The Ikwue family, where I come from, it's a little bit of an elite family. So I was working on this project side. I was supervising a shopping mall for some guy, and I was paying him. I was his site engineer. And at the end of the day, I pay the workers. We have a list of workers, and I pay the workers. And at that time, he pays me monthly. And he pays me 500 naira monthly. And the guy who was doing the tiling, because we were at tiling stage at that time, the guy who was doing the tiling, at the end of the day, when I measure his work, he does an average of between 150 naira and to 200 naira of labor work daily. So I pay him 150 naira daily, averagely, for the tiling work he does. And I quickly asked myself, I did some calculations, and I said, he works 6 days in a week, Monday through to Saturday. So I said, oh, this guy earns 900 naira weekly. That is 3,600 naira monthly. And me, the engineering graduate who supervises him, earns 500 naira monthly.
No brain.
And then I took advantage of something he did wrong, and I fired him. Whereas what I did was I took the next few days and studied the techniques of tiling. So I fired him and started learning how to tile and continued with the tiling work.
Wow.
Anyway, that was a hostile takeover. I'm sorry, but it was absolutely necessary for me to survive, to make more money. At that point, it was a bit strange for some of my workers to, how come Oga will be tiling? But I was making more money. I learned an extra skill.
Wow.
And this was way back in 1997, 23 years ago. I'm sure you can imagine what I was 22 years at that time. No, I was 23 years then. So you can imagine what 3,600 naira in the hand of a 23-year-old fresh graduate
At that time,
was
it's a
at that
lot.
time. So for me, that was my early entrepreneurial ventures. The rest is a whole lot of stories. If you meet me in my private space, I can mentor you on my entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you so much for that answer. And honestly, I think you might call it a hostile takeover, but I look at it from a very different angle as a humble takeover. Because as a graduate, a man and a Nigerian, pride kills a lot of us. You know, oga me wey be oga, no go fit go dey do task. I go just hire another person. So I would say it was out of having a humble heart and the spirit of wanting to become successful with or without you. That's what I heard from your story. So I would look at it in a very positive way. So guys, I am going to let one secret out. So Agaba is actually my cousin. So we're related. I know him personally. So a lot of the things he's telling you, he can't lie to you because he knows that I know. So I just want to authenticate some of the story, most all the stories that personal stories that he's telling you. All of them are true. His grandmother is my dad's younger sister. So that's how close we are with family blood. All right, guys. So take his advices. It has helped him. He's a very successful businessman. It will help you. The old saying that says, if you want to be a millionaire, think like a millionaire. This is it. So pick his brains. He's going to help you. And I want to celebrate you when you're up there. We'll take one last question. and then we will call it a day today. It says, what would you say is the key to your success?
Um,
I can say one is integrity and a no-nonsense man.
you see, I will borrow some of Jack Ma. If you know Jack Ma, the owner of Alibaba, the Chinese billionaire.
Mhm.
Jack Ma, in one of his mentorship, just said that it is more important to be trusted than to be loved.
Mm.
And I will share this to young entrepreneurs. I'll advise you to seek to work in small organizations. These are nuggets I got from Jack Ma. Big organizations, if you're a fresh startup or you just graduated from school and you want to go and work in Shell, like Jack Ma said, it's like a very big engine and you're just a small part of that big engine. You're never going to learn how that big engine gets to work.
Mm.
But if you join a small organization where in 1 or 2 steps you have direct access to the CEO, very quickly you will be learning one, his ideology, his vision, his beliefs, his values. You get to see the challenges that he passes through as an entrepreneur. And that will help you fast when you also start up as an entrepreneur.
Okay. Thank you
Does
so
that answer the
much.
question?
Yeah, that truly answered the question. So don't start big, start small. And I will connect that with the Bible, where the Bible says, never despise the days of small beginning. Just like what
Yes.
I'm doing now. It's small. I don't know where it's going to go, but you know what? I am determined. I am going to become innovative from the advice from our guest today. And I am going to become virtual tycoon. I'm going to be so super, whatever. Anyways, few things that you should take home from our guest today. I took time to write them down. One is be one is make sure you find your passion in anything you want to do. Find your passion. Number two, stay current. Be innovative. Number three, as an entrepreneur, do not go spend millions of dollars on advertisement. Find a problem, become the solution. It will speak for itself. We spoke about integrity. Make sure you are being trusted by being loved. I always say this on my show, that if everybody loves you, you have a problem. Your people that don't like you are actually the nuggets that helps you succeed. Because when you look back at their whip waiting to whip you, you want to be successful. So always make sure you keep your integrity in business, so that when anybody say, where should I go, they will remember you. And the last thing he told us in connection to that is a quote from Jack Moore that says, it is more important to be trusted than to be loved. Thank you so much once again, Engineer Agaba Ikwue, the president of the entrepreneur organization, Abuja, the organization he spoke about from the beginning. So make sure you go back, host a watch party, and you can hear all of it for those of you just coming. A lot of love for you. I can see that. Maria from Calgary, thank you so much. Agaba, just some few comments that came up for you.
Thank you.
Send the post for you back later. Say, oh, thank you so much for your time that you took out of your busy schedule to come and educate us. I am a young entrepreneur and I would love to connect with you if you don't mind. Another
Okay.
person said, can you become my mentor? I have been to your hotel in Abuja, but never had the opportunity to meet you before. So I am seeing you live. Thank you, Queen Amina. Thank you too. Yeah, so much of that. Thank you guys so much for your time. I love you, and thank you, Engineer Agaba.
Thank you, Ami.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Please, I wish all of you good luck. It's a difficult moment for mankind at this time. I know everybody's locked up, the world is at its knees at this moment, but let's all stay positive. Let's never give up. And I'm using the word I borrowed from Joey Evans. If you know Joey Evans, he is the legendary, he's a South African who was paralyzed and from paralysis made it to the Dakar Rally. If you know about the Dakar Rally, you know it's the most treacherous race in the world, where you have to race 8,000 kilometers across 6 countries to get to the finish line. So imagine a man who went from paralysis and 1 year after an accident that broke his spinal cord, he was paralyzed, and 1 year after was at the Dakar Rally. And he said, ride through the night. Never give up, stay strong. And I'm sure if we all lock our hands as humanity, put our race, our color, our religion, our ethnicity, and we speak just one language called humanity, if we ride through the night together, we will defeat COVID-19. Stay indoors, maintain social distance, and I believe that we'll all come out of this triumphant. Have a good evening.
Don't go
And
yet.
see you on the other side.
1 second. There's a story that the comment said I must read it to you. So this is from Naveen Dominics, the CEO of Naveen Dominics Cosmetics from Canada.
Okay.
She was in Nigeria at your hotel.
Yes.
So she said, oh, I need my glasses. So I got to read this to you. So she's online. Love you too, Naveen. She said, the best hotel yet in Abuja. That means your hotel.
Thank you, Naveen.
Yeah. And she's not from Nigeria. She's been traveling and staying in different hotels. So she's giving kudos to Eden 360, Eden 360. We say Eden, but Eden 360 is in Otako number 20, Anthony Enahoro Street in Otako, Abuja. That's where I stay all the time when I do my live videos. They're like, Queen, where you did? I did that hotel. That's why.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good evening, and bye-bye, everybody. Yep.
All right, guys, that was quite an experience and informative section. I hope you love it. To help me stay on air every day, you gotta like my page, Queen Amina Show on Facebook, and the Queen Amina on Instagram. That's all I ask. And also you need to share the video so other people can enjoy the information, and together we will be successful, because information becomes power when you use it. And if we have people coming to give us nuggets of things that will make us successful, we need to be kind enough to wear the hat of the giving spirit and share the video. Thank you guys so much. Tia Vera, you should be coming on our show next. Come show us how to do some exercises. Tia Vera said, this is very interesting. As a young entrepreneur, I've learned so much from this section. Thank you, sir. Oh, I'm going to send that message to him. Again, Queen Amina, thank you guys so much. Tomorrow, I'm going to be live, same time, 2 p.m. on Facebook Live. And our guest tomorrow, I will tell you, tomorrow is what? The 22nd. Our guest is all the way from Liberia. She's a queen of music and a humanitarian worker, a women activist, and a politician. So she is going to be joining us live tomorrow, Queen Julie Andy. So go find her on social media pages as Julie Andy. Julie spells her Jli. So she is going to come in all her magnificent outfit tomorrow to share with us what is going on in Liberia, how the government is responding to COVID-19 in their country, and she possibly would sing us a song. So stay tuned tomorrow at 2 p.m. on Queen Amina Show on Facebook. Thank you, guys.